All right, everyone. Welcome to the Dirty Hair Secrets podcast. I am your host, Precious Rutlin. I'm also known as a trichologist, which is a hair and scalp specialist, and I'm the creator of helpmewithmyhair.com. And I partner with women that are in their mid-careers, and I help them to get to the root cause of their hair issues so that they can get to a point where wearing a wig is optional and not a must. And today I have with me some very special guests. I reached out to one of my partners and I asked them to come on and share and talk with you guys about viviscal Pro. So I know there's been all kinds of questions just stemming from my YouTube videos and just general posts that I make on social media. So I said, you know what? I want to go out and reach out to my partners so they could come on and kind of hear, from the horse's mouth themselves about this great product, how to use it, and who's it for. And so I have with me today, I have with me Michelle Cordes. She is the viviscal Pro rep. And so thank you so much for joining us, Michelle.
For having me. I'm thrilled to be here and such an admirer of your work.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to go ahead and jump into it because there's so many hair supplements and different vitamins and things just on the market. But I really wanted to just focus in on today about viviscal Pro. So can you just tell us more about the product and who's it for?
Absolutely. So, and you're right on the money when you say that there's a lot of different supplements out there that position themselves as hair growth supplements.
Yes.
I am in the stores and the beauty retailers quite often, and there are a ton of them. So, I think it's incredibly important when it comes to supplements to really differentiate what's out there because, as you know, supplements are not FDA regulated. Supplements are in a different category. So the Food and Drug Administration doesn't get involved. So it is even more critical to make sure you know what you're taking because there's a lot of garbage out there, so to speak. And a focus on clinically proven ingredients more so than the entirety of the product. And that's really what sets us apart with Viviscal Professional. We are a drug-free supplement that really is for anyone that wants healthier hair. And I think that's important. You know, we are a hair loss tool, absolutely, an internal approach at nourishing the follicle. But more than that, it's for anyone that wants their hair to be healthier. We have the ability to keep you in the growing phase longer, so your hair is growing faster. It also, over time, at the 6-month mark, we see an increase of density in diameter by 12%. So I know there's a ton of people out there that would like to experience thicker hair, as well as their hair growing faster. I just briefly touched on the clinically proven ingredients and supplements, but really that is what sets us apart. We're the #1 hair growth supplement in the world. We've been around for 30 years. And we have 10 published clinically proven or clinical trials, I should say. Sorry, I need more coffee this Monday morning after the holiday. No. I apologize. But why that's so important is it proves our mechanism of action. So the product does exactly what it's intended to do, more than just having a few ingredients that have been clinically proven. So with these 10 published clinical trials, I think there's one other company that maybe has one. So it's really head and shoulders above and beyond in terms of the science behind the product that proves that it's growing hair faster and increasing density or diameter.
I love it. And then I get this question, and I've had so many comments, if you won't believe, on my YouTube video about this, and even I think on my Instagram. But let's just talk about like authentic Viviscal Pro versus the fake. And I've even had a client said that she purchased Viviscal Pro off of Amazon, and she just told me some horror stories about it, and I couldn't believe she said she had hair growing in other places where there shouldn't been. And so she came to me and she's like, Precious, should that even be happening? I'm like, no. I'm like, where did you buy it from? And so she shared with me that she got off Amazon, and I said, no, you should, only be buying from reputable businesses that are authorized to sell. So let's just can we talk about that for a second?
Absolutely. And it's so important. And I've heard horror stories in my offices with different products that this,
Oh,
I mean, even skincare, some of it, I heard a horror story how they would make stuff in restrooms and, just, I mean, you have to be very careful. And I would say even more so with an ingestible, I mean,
yeah.
we're not talking about saving a couple dollars on a hairspray or something like that. This is something we're swallowing, putting into our body. At Viviscal Professional, the Pro line is for licensed medical or beauty retailers. So you have to have a cosmetology license, or you have to be a doctor, or some kind of certification, if you will, to carry the product first of all, and sell it and retail it to your clients or patients. So when we do this process, before you're able to order, we make sure of all of this, and we don't sell to anybody on Amazon. Our agreement says you're not allowed to sell on Amazon or third-party sellers. So we know it's not coming from any of our clients unless they, are taking a risk of being cut off. Because if we find that out, then we will not, we'll sever the business and the partnership, because we do not want to have that. We want to support you guys, so you can retail the product. So any product that's coming from us is legitimate, Viviscal Pro that we manufacture. However, people get really savvy with this stuff. And I've heard of stuff that they buy to save a couple of dollars. And I know, budget's important to everyone, but again, it's so critical when you're actually ingesting something, it's not worth it for $5 or what have you. So there's, fake pills that are in there, or, sometimes they'll take the over-the-counter stuff and put it in there. You just don't know what you're getting, and we can't stand by you like we do normally with those, third-party sellers that are on Amazon.
Wow. And then, so let's talk about this while we're on that subject. So, like, what about the ingredients in Viviscal Pro? Because I had one person ask about, if the authentic Viviscal Pro has calcium in it. So is that like one of the ingredients? And then let's just talk about that marina complex.
Sure. Yeah, that's what makes us really stand apart. So in order to better explain that, I'm going to give you a little backstory, which I think is critical to the understanding. And it's just a cool story. There was a Scandinavian professor that was really in awe of the Inuit group of people in this beautiful hair and skin that they all seem to have. Why is it that this particular group has this amazing hair and skin? So he did some further research, and he was able to attribute their diet being very heavy in deep sea fish protein. He went a step ahead and was able to, to further his research even more so and identify the molecule. And, he thought he was going to be a wealthy man to create a supplement for skincare. And as they were tracking the results, they noticed, like so often happens in medical studies, something else fabulous that was happening. Everybody's hair on their head was growing like crazy. So it became more of a hair growth product. But what is in the product and what their diet was heavy in is this deep sea fish protein. So what you do have, it's a proprietary blend. So the secret sauce, if you will. We can't give away everything, but it is a marine complex, like you said, Precious. And it has deep marine collagen proteins. It also has oyster in the product. So when you talk about calcium, it's not that we're putting calcium into the product. It's calcium is often, in shellfish. So it's a small amount, but there is calcium within the shellfish that we use for the product, as well as many other, great amino acids, vitamin C, zinc. We know the importance of the lack of zinc with hair loss. So there's zinc in the product as well, but it is a proprietary blend that's exclusive to Viviscal and Viviscal Professional, that really makes it do what it's able to do to make the hair grow faster.
I love it. And then I had one question. So does Viviscal Pro, does it leave like a taste in your mouth, or is it tasteless? Because you know how sometimes you can take supplements and you kind of have that little aftertaste.
Absolutely. Well, I have to be honest with you. I get mixed reviews in that regard. So
Uh-huh.
some people say it tastes a little fishy, but my hair is fabulous, so I'm going to roll with it. It's not enough to stop them, especially if you're experiencing thinning hair. I know a lot of my friends, mid-aged like I am, the hair, starts to thin. So I'll take 30 seconds of a fishy taste in my mouth to save my hair for sure. But yeah, some people, they don't notice it all. And some people will say it tastes a little fishy. So we always encourage you, take it with, I like to have some milk or something that's,
Yeah.
to kind of coat your stomach, because some people just in general, they get kind of nauseous as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
having something to wash it down with is important. But yeah, it's really, some people will say it tastes fishy to them, and others will say, I don't really notice anything. So
Mm-hmm. And then um so let's back up for a second, because you did mention about the clinical trials.
yeah.
So like, are the clinical trials ongoing, or like if someone were interested and said, hey, I want to help you guys out with your research, is there ever a case where it's possible for them to do so?
Well, sure. So, it depends on when they're doing different clinical trials, and
Okay.
that's really more the R&D team than myself. But
Gotcha.
I know we're always open to somebody that's interested in doing that, passing along that information, and then we have it when we're ready to go to the next one.
Okay.
On a more introductory kind of level, we're always open to supporting you with before and afters in your practice. And it's one of those things, it's kind of like weight loss. You might not notice it on yourself because you look in the mirror every day, but when you
Yep.
look at a picture, I know, sometimes, you look at a picture, one Christmas to the next, or whatever holiday, birthdays, and you'll notice a huge difference. So it's important to track your results if you can with some before and afters. And we love to promote all of our practices and their patients before and afters on our social media sites.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And then now, Viviscal Pro. Okay, so let's just back up also, because there's two different I want to say versions of Viviscal Pro. So
correct.
there's there's regular Viviscal in the red box, and then Viviscal Pro. So can we just differentiate the two for our
Sure.
listeners?
It's so important. I'm glad you brought that up because as a sales rep here in California, I've even went into different practices where I've, looked into this dermatologist that sees a lot of hair loss patients.
Mhm.
And I went in a couple of times thinking, and then he says, I don't know why you keep coming back. I already tell everybody to use Viviscal. I send them down to CVS, not even
Oh,
realizing there was a pro version that he could be retailing in the practice. So it's really important for patients that we talk to, but even for everybody to understand that we do have two formulas. I've even had practices say to me, hey, you told me this was a professional only product, and I just saw Viviscal,
yep.
and and so it is really important. We have two versions, like you said. We have
Mhm.
what we call a D2C or direct to consumer version, and then our pro version.
Okay.
So and I think where a little bit of the confusion lies is that the direct to consumer one is called Viviscal Extra Strength, and then
Mhm.
you got Viviscal Pro, and that's kind of confusing because as a blind consumer, I would be, oh, extra strength, that must be the strongest one, that's the one I
Yep.
want, versus just
Mhm.
having a Viviscal and Viviscal Pro. So that can get tricky. But we've had Viviscal Extra Strength, or the pink box people will refer it to,
Mhm.
for that was the first one out. The pro
Okay.
one has been out over 10 years now, but the other one almost 30, like I mentioned prior
Okay.
in our talk. And that's available to anyone who can pick up the phone. We have an 800 number. You can go to, the vitamin shop,
Mhm.
local CVS, Walgreens, all those kind of places. Anybody can go in and buy it. It's
Mhm.
a fabulous product. It's really what put us on the map. We sell one per minute every minute in the United States. But as we grew, and so many doctors like yourself that were hair specialists, or they said it'd be really great if I didn't have to send all of my patients down
Yeah.
the street and I had something in practice. And they were the ones that were doing clinical research for us. So we agreed with them, and we came out with a pro version, which
Gotcha.
has the same active ingredient. It's just a stronger concentration. So it's
Okay.
kind of like, I can go get my teeth whitening stuff at CVS, or I can go into my dentist's office and really get the souped up version, That's kind of what it's like. So The souped up version, the Pro, if you will, has a
Mhm.
stronger concentration. And the difference really is, like I said, the regular one is a great product. We do very, very well with it, but this is a stronger concentration of the aminomar, which is that proprietary marine complex that really makes us stand out and do what we do. So I think at the 6-month period with a regular one, we see a 50% increase in terminal hair growth, where with ours, we can get up to the 80-82% range. So it is a stronger product. It also does something that is the most wonderful side benefit of taking the product. It increases the density or diameter of the hair, which the over-the-counter one will not do. So I hear so often, even men that are thinning, they say, I love that the hair I do have is thicker. It's, and I know from my perspective, personally, that's been great for me because I have baby fine hair. So when I take the product, it's not so much that I'm going to have this mermaid hair, but I have more volume. It feels like I have, more hair to work with at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, I guess like with any supplement, so let's just talk about this. So like once you stop taking the supplement, will you continue to see the new hair growth, or should I say like, will it lessen?
So what happens is, you're not going to lose the hair that you grew.
Right.
And I get this question a lot because a lot of times people notice that when they do certain eyelash serums or different things, in the hair growth, the hair that we're really affecting is the hair on your head, of course,
Right.
but it's those terminal hairs that have, I think, a 7-year growth pattern, where our body hair on our arms is like a 30-day growth period. So even though we're putting you in the growing phase longer, you're substantially going to notice these results on your head, but you're not going to grow hair everywhere like on your arms, because that the cycles goes into the next phase too fast. So when you stop taking the product, it takes a while to work because, again, it's a long cycle. So we always encourage everyone to at least a 6-month period to use the product. Although you'll see some results by the 3-month period, it really works its magic when it can densify and do what it does over at least a 6-month or longer period. But it really depends on why you're taking it to begin with. Somebody with temporary hair loss might not be on it as long as someone, like with pattern baldness, that's not going to go away. But if you stop taking it, what happens is it just works its way out of your system and you'll go back to your natural growth pattern, whatever that may be. So for instance, I work with a lot of women that have temporary hair loss. The hormones are huge. Of course, stress is another one. And if whatever, was contributing to that stress related hair loss or temporary hair loss, if that has dissipated or been eliminated, you're fine to go off the product if you didn't have an issue with your regular hair growth before then. If you're someone that has an underlying medical issue that's not going away, for instance, male pattern baldness, right? We're slowing down the whole progression of what's happening. So if you go off it, it's going to seem like you're thinning faster, but it's just we slowed it down before. So it really depends, because people, I know, even I would, as a patient, be concerned. I don't want anybody that they say to me, you got to be on this forever. I kind of get a little, where, so when they ask that question, it's like, no, why are you getting on it to begin with? Did this just happen because postpartum you're losing hair? Then let's, level that off. We can help you right now. And then you can get off of it. If it's something where every guy in my family is bald by 45, you should probably stay on it. So it just depends.
Right. And I'm so glad you pointed that out, because it seems like right now, everyone's just in a microwave society. They want this quick fix, and then they come to me, wanting advice, and I lay it out for them. I said, hey, at minimum, you should always be taking your hair growth supplements at minimum 6 months to give it a try, to make sure that it works and to really see results. And they for other reason don't seem to understand. So I'm really glad that you pointed that out and say, hey, let's really look at the real reason as to why you're taking it. Because then sometimes they also like to justify as the cost of supplements as well. But I'm like, when you look at everything after you've spent so much on all these other products, you could have just had a one-stop shop.
And really, when you break it down, and this is one of the beautiful features of Viviscal Pro, first of all, it works. We know it works, right? But secondly, for patients at retail value, it's around $2 a day, if not a little bit less. You know,
I
so
love that.
for $2 a day, that's less than my Starbucks. You know, I have guaranteed I'm going to see something, a difference. So that's huge.
I love that. And then so one more thing before we wrap up here, like I always recommend that in order to see the results, again, like you follow the 6 to 9 months protocol. So is there like a specific, I guess, time of the day better than any others, or like how would you incorporate someone advised, into their regimen? How would they go about
Sure.
taking it?
Well, I'll tell you, the time of day that's best is the time that you're not going to forget.
Right.
So, I mean, consistency is imperative. Otherwise, you might as well. I tell people all the time, if you can't remember and you're not going to commit to this, don't waste your money. You know, because it gives us a bad rap too. I can tell you, I'll go into practices where I'll sit with the nurses and I'll say, how's everybody doing? If they don't rave right away, I go, who's taking 2 a day every day? They don't raise their hand. I forget, Michelle. So those are the only, and I've done this for 6 years, Precious. I love this for you because when people are taking it, I walk in, everybody's happy to see me because my stuff works. But no, honestly, when I sit down with them, it's really about your lifestyle and what works. Our directions they take 1 a day, twice a day with food. I tell people all the time, if you know your schedule after work is crazy and you're not going to remember, you're better off to take 2 at the time in the morning you're going to remember, and just have that be your routine. You want consistency within the bloodstream. You know, it's similar to any kind of prescription or supplement. So it's really getting that 2 a day in. I have some people, well, I was taking 1 a day, Michelle, because you know, it's a little more affordable for me. And I'm like, well, that's why you're not blown away with our results.
Yes.
All of our clinical information is based on 2 a day. So take those 2 a day when you can remember to take them, and try to be consistent with your timing.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm
so
glad
you put it on their water cooler. Some people put it, you know, wherever they know that this time of day I do this, or you know.
And it always helps if you just incorporate that into like your daily routine, like you said, to help you kind of, and that's not uncommon. I have heard clients say like, yeah, I'm only taking 1 supplement. I'm like if you want to see the results, you have to follow it. The protocol completely. There's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So
exactly. and another thing sometimes people bring up is this not for anyone, you know, or with this. And really, because of the oyster and the marine complex, people with shellfish allergies, I wouldn't recommend it for them. Although I've had some that, you know, they might try one and see how it goes, but really it's not for anyone with a shellfish allergy. And also, just like every other company out there, we haven't done any testing from a clinical perspective on anyone pregnant or breastfeeding. Nobody would touch anybody pregnant or breastfeeding. So there's nothing in it that would be damaging, but just because we haven't done clinical trial, we say wait until you're done, which is usually perfect timing, because then after is when people notice that shedding and hair loss. So those are the only 2. Otherwise, anybody is suitable for this product.
This was awesome, and this was such great information today. I thank you so much for sharing your time with us today, Michelle.
Thank you for having me, Precious. It was my pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And again, if you guys are interested in Viviscal Pro, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to get any information that you would need to use. So thanks again for watching and listening. And you guys take care and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.